This seems to be every time the president goes off that track, so does that agenda, and so does his administration. And it's gotten to the point now where 71% of Americans apparently feel that tweeting is getting to be a kind of ridiculous thing. It's hurting him. And that was before this latest tweet in which he goes after two anchors on MSNBC, to Bush 43 Special Assistant Ron Christie, Democratic strategist Sarah Badawi. Sarah, what do you make of that? That whatever you make of what the president is saying, it's hurting, that's coming back to bite him, that his own tweets are getting in the way of his own agenda. What do you think?
To say the least. His tweets are a constant distraction, and they take us away from a real conversation that we need to be having in Washington on important issues like health care and tax reform and what we're going to do about college affordability. I think that's the biggest problem.
Well, to be fair, a lot of people on the left don't want to talk about those substantive issues. You move right on to Russia and collusion, all that, right?
Well, I would say, Neil, this past week, we have seen people on the left really coming out hard, trying to have a debate about this health care bill. But there have been no hearings, there have been no expert testimony, and the grassroots are really making their voices heard.
So I'll agree with you that this, at the very least, gets and takes away from that. And Ron, I bet you would agree that this is something that doesn't certainly help the president.
Well, good afternoon, Neil. It certainly doesn't help the president. As my friend Art Fleischer said at the beginning of this segment, it's so important when you're the president of the United States to have a message, to articulate that message, and to show the American people why your leadership, why your style, why, frankly, your tone is something the American people should listen to. And what we're seeing here with President Trump right now is getting into what I think is the gutter of politics, of insulting people. Inspire people, Mr. President. Tell them why your vision and your legacy is important.
I don't know, you guys. So I'm not against tweeting per se. I think it's a remarkable vehicle with which to go, beyond the press and the powers that be in Washington or the other party, your own party, et cetera. But stick to a winning subject, or stick to something that elevates either that cause or those efforts. And my only concern with the president, these sidetracking tweets, is that they don't serve that purpose. And I know you're not a fan of his agenda, so I would imagine. But my point is, whether you are or not, we're not talking about that agenda, right? We're talking about this stuff.
Absolutely. He could be doing a lot to maybe help the Republicans in Congress, but instead we're not having a conversation about the tens of millions of people who stand to potentially lose their health insurance. And so on this first day of the July 4th recess, as members go back to district, they're going to be hearing from their constituents about this. And today, my organization, the PCCC, is announcing that we're going to be expanding ads, elevating the voices of real people that don't have a platform. The PCCC, the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, will be airing ads featuring real people that are going to stand to lose their health care in West Virginia, Texas, Nevada, and Arizona. And members of Congress will hear from that as the rest of us are talking about Trump's tweets.
Ron, one thing that has come up in this, and Sarah's comments on whether Republicans are really going to do that or not, Republicans are actually getting the blame for the problems of the Affordable Care Act as it stands now. That one blew me away. They had nothing to do with that. So if it's that bad that now they're not only getting low ratings for the ideas they're coming up with, but the law itself, for which not a one of them voted. What do you make of that?
Well, Neil, I think this is all on us, and it's our bad. We've had 7 years as Republicans to really explain to the American people, educate to the American people how bad the Affordable Care Act really is. The president's promises were not true. The costs have gone up significantly. So many people have lost their insurance coverage, but yet Republicans said, oh, if you only give us the chance and the opportunity to get back in power, look at all these things we're going to do. Well, here we are, and 7 years later, the Republicans now are going to own this, and the Democrats have been very crafty of saying Donald Trump and congressional Republicans are trying to take away your health care and how bad they are, when we missed the narrative and the opportunity to explain this is why we need to repeal and replace and have a better option.
All right, guys, I want to thank you all. It is a mess, but boy, oh boy, I mean, tweet to focus, focus to tweet. All right. In the meantime,